Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you another nightly update on the Atlantic Basin and points beyond because we've got some other interesting things going on in other parts of the world. So, if we take a look at the overall Atlantic Basin, the satellite here this afternoon, I'm going to bring that to a stop because of the flash that we keep getting, of course. Now it wants to load. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let it load, and we're going to bring back our red color here, and we're going to get some circles. This right here is Invest 96L. It's starting to get some convection. It's been struggling to even get any types of showers and thunderstorms, but it is beginning to try to get a little bit of convective activity here this afternoon. So it'll be interesting to see how this behaves overnight. We also have our other area up here. It's a 10% chance, as you could see. It's just basically a big mess of showers and thunderstorm activity. We've got Evo out here in the Eastern Pacific, and way out on the very edge of the screen is Henriette. Um, it's post-tropical cyclone, but it is not the final advisory on that. And then we also have kind of the big story, and what we're really going to be paying attention to here tonight and discussing is this wave that is just now starting to emerge from the African mainland. And there's been a lot of hype on this. There's been a lot of modeling, a lot of people sharing things across social media. So we're going to go through it all, and we're going to kind of break it down, and there's reason to seriously keep a watch on this one, folks. And I've been really looking at the models today, and it seems timing, development location, there's a lot of factors, even things going on well up here into the mid latitudes as well, that are going to potentially influence the track of what is looking to potentially be, you know, Aaron, depending on if this other wave gets its act together or not. If Invest 96L can't really do nothing, then the E name will be for this wave emerging from the African mainland. So this is Invest 96L. This is our 1010 low pressure area. There will be an area of low pressure that's going to develop on that, but whether it's tropical or not, that remains to be seen. So as we could see here, 10% chance of development over the entirety of the system into a tropical or subtropical cyclone. It is most likely going to remain frontal, but still develop an area of low pressure. This is Invest 96L, and as you can see, the percentages have been dropping. At maximum, this was at a 30% chance of development over 48 hours and a 60% chance of development over 7 days. It is now currently 0% chance over the next 48 hours and a 40% chance over the next 7 days. So it is going to be interesting. We want this, honestly, now that it's kind of stuck in this pattern of going northward, we want this to develop, and we want this to just go bonkers. Do your thing. That would be very beneficial for this wave coming forward. It would be very helpful to get this to develop. So let's discuss why. I'm going to come back here, and as you could see, I have it on the surface. We could even pull it up to the 850, and this wave exiting off. There is, as you could see, it is gaining some northern latitude as it comes off. And this is the GFS model, by the way, using Earth Null. But as you could see, it comes up, and potentially a little surface circulation impacts the Cabo Verde Islands here, the 850 millibar. It's really starting to tighten up. And that is kind of a concern because at this point, it's already got a decent amount of structure. If we come to the 700 millibar, it's still tied kind of to the trough, but boy, it's already got, a leg up going for it. So, as we could see at this point in time, and this is 24 hours in advance, what we have is a very large area of high pressure right here that is going to force this storm underneath it. Okay, now if this is what 96L is, if this could develop rather strong, it could help weaken this high and potentially move it this way, or just keep it held back for a little bit while this rounds the edge. All right, somewhere along the line, this system here must, to get out, it is going to have to go around these areas of high pressure. Now, will the high pressure build back in over here and continue it on its westward track? That's a question, and that is an uncertain question at this time. So, just to kind of give everybody an idea, I am going to run this forward another 48 hours. And as you could see by this point in time, the GFS operational run wants to have a pretty substantial tropical cyclone at this point in time. Now, we'll have to wait and see. Okay? The GFS could be very wrong on that. So, but there's an area of spin associated with it now. So, we got to wait for this to emerge out over the open water. So, I'm going to bring this up to the 500 millibar level. And the reason that I'm doing this is because you've got this high here, the clockwise flow around the high, and this must go up underneath it. This low pressure here, if this could get strong, which it's not forecast to do, this system would then find that weakness there and cut through. If it doesn't, there's another high pressure here. It would be forced to go onto the western side of that high pressure to then start to turn northward or to continue further west. It really all depends upon the atmospheric conditions. Now, what we've been looking at here on Earth Null is just the GFS operational run. So, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the ensembles because there's nothing developed out there. Not only that, but the National Hurricane Center does not have any kind of outlook issued on something that would be a bona fide named system in 48 hours, really 24 hours. So we really have to take what we saw with Earth Null with a grain of salt. My main reason for showing Earth Null here tonight is the fact that I really want to highlight the high pressures, okay? There's going to be opportunities for this storm to turn out. But by the time that the storm gets there is the question. As you could see with this particular system here, if it was located here, it would turn up and out. But it is still located here. Things in the tropics ebb and flow. You'll get these breaks and they'll last for just a short window of time. If it was there to take advantage of it, it would, but it's not. So at this point, it must continue going west until the next break occurs. Now, again, looking at the ensembles, the Euro ensembles show over the next 10 days a westward or west northwest progression with then a turn to the north in response to a weakness in the high going forward. But now there's no skill past this, but there's one thing that I want to highlight, and that is I'm going to go to day 12, and you do see quite a bit of, scary ensembles. There's reason to have concern from about 50 west onward. So when this thing is going to turn, that's a big question. Bermuda, you need to be under the gun as well with this one. There is good reason to believe that this next wave emanating from the African mainland will be the Atlantic Basin's at least the first hurricane this year. And some of the conditions potentially, we could be looking at some really, really strong winds and potentially some low pressures, really low pressures. But it's too early to make any determination. So that has to be said. Now, with the European AI ensembles, kind of something I want to point out here. You've got one cluster here, you've got another cluster here, and then you've got another grouping here. So even within the AI models, they're split. A lot of uncertainty is existing with this. A lot of it has to do as where does it develop? Does it develop high up here near 18 degrees north? Or does it develop back down here towards 15 degrees north? Wherever its quote unquote launching point is, that's going to make a huge difference going forward. All right, timing with these storms coming off the African mainland is critical. How fast does it go? How far north is it? There's a lot of uncertainty. The operational models right now, while they do show a solution, it is highly recommended to use the ensembles exclusively, really, other than if you're looking at the development of the system itself. Now, for the operationals and stuff like that, you can use them for other features, but trying to have the operational run guess exactly where it's going to develop, exactly when it's going to develop, and exactly where it's going to develop is a little bit beyond the capabilities of the operational models at this point. I mean, this is why there's just a lot of uncertainty. If you're off by 50 miles, it makes a huge difference days down the road. So right now, it is highly recommended to just use the ensembles. Don't necessarily look at the operationals for the development of this wave coming off the African mainland. Now, if I run this out, I'm going to pop this to 12, and as you can see, there is a huge amount of uncertainty with this. All right, it's the same thing with the other Euro. You've got from here to here. Well, really kind of Cuba. Land interactions kind of screw up some of them. But as you can see, anything in between. So there's reason and cause for concern, because it's just the overall consensus that once this thing gets past 50 and potentially past 60, that it is going to end up with possibly a pretty conducive environment for intensification at that point. And that's concerning. It really is. So Taking a look at the GEFS, this is 10 days out. As you can see, the same thing. All three ensembles are showing the same solution. Does this low pressure out here, does 96L get strong enough to be able to provide an early break? If not, does the area associated with, our 1010, does that develop and keep the high pressure back and allow things to occur? There's all types of variables and hurdles that this thing has to kind of, tick off as we start to get further and closer, further in time and closer to, the potential event itself. So there's a great deal of uncertainty, folks. I cannot stress this enough. So please do not get stressed out about the operational runs that are running right now. Now, as you can see, the GEFS is slower than its operational GFS run, which makes a big difference because, again, it is timing. The storm needs to be in the right location at the right time with the right strength to be able to, potentially take advantage of the weaknesses in the high. All right, let's jump over to the Google DeepMind. Now, I've got this one out 7 days. I'm going to go ahead and this is just the DeepMind. Now, we're going to highlight this. And as you can see, compared to what we saw yesterday, maybe if I zoom out a little bit, it'll highlight just a little bit better. From what we saw yesterday compared to today, there is a few more of the members kind of interacting potentially with the United States. Again, too far out. We watch for trends. We still have a great amount of these ensemble members that want to turn this out into the open waters, potentially interacting and threatening Bermuda. But there are a few more today compared to what we had yesterday that are a little further west. Yesterday was 5. Today is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, we're just watching for the trends right now, folks. Now I'm going to turn on the other models to go with it, and as you can see, the consensus of at least the Google DeepMind has it turning into a very powerful, very powerful hurricane at this point. Strength depending. There's quite a few, some even making it up to a category 4. We've got the sea level pressure, and now as you can see here, there's quite a few of them that get it well into the hurricane threshold. So it's becoming more and more probable that this is going to be our first name hurricane of the Atlantic Basin for this season. So folks, now would be a great time to review your hurricane kit. Make sure it only takes one storm. Right now, we couldn't tell you where this thing is going to go. Anybody can post the operational run. Where's it going to go? Nobody knows. Now, there will be a little bit of dust involved with this system. Now, whether it takes advantage of it or not remains to be seen. So, this first plume is out ahead of our wave. Okay? So, this is not... All this is doing is kind of really influencing and impacting 96L. This is what we were kind of wondering. As you could see, I'll put it right here. 96L on this model is right there. Okay, now Obviously, this is a dust model. It doesn't run every hour, so it is not, up to date all the time. But as you can see, that's what 96L has been dealing with. And then it rotates up and over and gets north of that dust, and maybe we'll get lucky. Here comes that other wave, and you'll see the rotation in the dust. The big question is right here. We're day 6, okay? Let's erase that. Our wave is stuck in that little pocket right there. The modeling has some dust here on the northern side. Now, can we get some of that dust to influence and entrain and to keep this storm kind of tamped down? That's what most of the ensembles are calling for. But watch what happens. That's day 6. Watch what happens when we get that a little further to the west. Watch what happens to the dust. And then all of a sudden, it just starts to disappear. By the time we get to day 10, there's very little dust out there, just a couple filaments of dry air. So, this might not be much of a factor. The big plume already moved through, and this is kind of in between those plumes. Whether or not it takes, it keeps it hampered in the beginning. If it didn't, we may be able to pull it to the north sooner. But by it getting out as far west as it's forecast to, really got to keep a very, very close watch on this one. Our nightly MJO report, as we can see here, we've crossed out of phase 1 right into phase 2, so we're basically running on the African mainland. So our juicy little wave coming off the African mainland is currently being enhanced by some of that, and you can see that. Let me. So we'll come to the Caribbean, tropical Atlantic, and the geo color. So, well, let's do infrared instead. You can see the vigorous shower and thunderstorm activity here on the very west coast of Africa. So this is all being kind of helped. But we're going to have to wait and see, folks. I'm so serious on this. We really have to watch, wait, and see. The Climate Prediction Center is pretty much calling for that, that potential area, and it could impact the folks here in the Caribbean as well and into the islands. Those folks have got to watch out for this too. A lot of the ensembling potentially has it going north, but you cannot let your guard down with this because we do not have a bona fide center of circulation yet. So we'll get a new update from the Climate Prediction Center on Tuesday with a new graphic. So right now, this is the week from August 13th to August 19th where we have concern. And then from August 20th to the 26th, maybe a 20% chance of development more. But I'm just really hoping that this area of moisture, this green area in that week 3, is representative of what developed here. I'm fingers crossed. We really don't want this one, folks. Looking at where we're at on our, basically for the season, we're right here. And we've still got pretty much all of hurricane season to go. We're starting to see that, increase in activity. And then when we get into the second week, and you'll see, I'll show you. Look at the difference. So I've got now August 11th through August the 20th, because being that today is the 8th, we already see that we're not probably, it's likely we're not going to have development in the next 48 hours. So I went ahead and changed the graphics up for us tonight. We have 152 points of origin from 1851 to 2024 during the weeks, or during the time period of August 11th through August the 20th. So that is just under one a year. And as you can see, development can occur anywhere from the west coast of Africa all the way up here into the mid latitudes and the subtropics, all the way out into the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico and points and beyond. But when we take a look at August 21st through August the 31st, this number down here jumps to 207. That means that it's almost a guarantee that you're going to see one, if not more than one, development from August 21st through August the 31st. So 207, that's a lot, folks. So as you can see, hurricane season is definitely starting to ramp up, where we're getting to peak season. And you look 21st through the 31st, that is this block right here. Wait till you see the next one. That it goes up. Man, it goes way up. Way up. So that will be, we'll take a look at that one in a few days. As we get closer and closer to the event, then we'll do that. So jumping out to the Eastern Pacific, I'm going to check. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just checking the chat, seeing if anybody's got any questions. If you guys got any questions, just let it, fire away. Let me know. So, taking a look at Evo, and now Henriette is in the Eastern, or the Central Pacific. Evo starting to tighten up a little bit. It's a very small storm. If this thing can, eventually, it's running out of time, but if it can maybe tap into a little bit of extra oomph and achieve that hurricane status that it is so desperately trying to. As you can see, both Henriette and Evo out here. Henriette will take care of first, is now post-tropical cyclone, and it is located at 19.9 north, 143.0 west, moving west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure of 1,009 millibars. Maximum sustained winds are 35 miles an hour. This storm is special because, as you can see here, almost a naked swirl has not produced hardly any showers and thunderstorms for what we're probably going on 18 hours now, to where anywhere near the core. This is why it is a post-tropical cyclone and has become a remnant low. It finally got succumbed to the dry environment and the cold sea surface temperatures, or the cool sea surface temperatures that are out there. It's been, it's been an amazing little, little Energizer Bunny out there. But expected to re-strengthen to a tropical storm over the weekend. This thing is persistent. The good thing about it is, though, hazards affecting land, none. So that's that, and it's not going to Hawaii. It's not going to be doing anything. But here is the kind of the different and weird part of this. Given the high likelihood of regeneration back into a tropical cyclone and subsequent re-strengthening, the National Hurricane Center will be maintaining advisories during the post-tropical phase. and it is forecast to remain post-tropical for at least the next 24 hours. So this is going to be a wild one. And then in 72 hours, forecast to reach up to potentially back up to 70 miles an hour. And we look at the spaghetti plots on this. Don't you play with me. Don't you do this. Like, I am not trying to forecast tropical cyclone impacts to Alaska. Don't you start this. Don't you start this. You better calm down, Mother Nature. You just sit down and relax, because this doesn't normally occur. And like, you just need to relax, Mother Nature. Like, take a breath. It's okay. And I do have to show that in these ensemble plots, the Google DeepMind model is included. So we're gonna have a whole bunch of new information with the spaghetti plots this year. It'll be pretty nice. So now we're gonna go out here over to Evo. We're currently at 20.4 degrees north, 111.2 degrees west, moving west at 13 miles an hour, with a minimum central pressure of 999 millibars and a maximum sustained winds of 65 miles an hour. It looks pretty. It really does. It doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of rain associated with it. This band, and it missed southwestern and western portions of the mainland of Mexico, though the folks here on the tip of the Baja, you are probably going to see quite a bit of squally weather here over the next, I'd say 24 hours or so, as this continues to move off to the west and eventually succumb to the dry air and much cooler water temperatures than Henriette had to deal with. So again, the only hazards affecting land right now are going to be the swells and the potential for rip currents. So no other significant impact to the Mexican, the Baja, or just Mexico in itself. Now, the reason that they're calling for this this thing is kind of wild right now. And I do kind of want to go over this because it's got that look. Evo's structure has become more organized during the past few hours, with inner core banding becoming more pronounced. Recent WSFM and GMI microwave data were helpful in confirming the improved structure, and also shows that Evo's center was located a little farther south than previously estimated. Despite the improved structure, there is a wide range in intensity estimates. The subject Dorvac estimates from TAFB and SAB range from 55 to 65 knots, while objective members from the University of Wisconsin are stuck at 40 to 45 knots. To add to the quandary, ASCAT data, which is basically your scatterometer, only showed maximum winds of 35 knots, but is highly likely that EVO is too small for the instrument to effectively sample its max winds. For now, EVO's max winds are set to 55 knots. So there's no telling what this thing really is because it is so small. But they are expecting it to become post-tropical in the next 60 hours as it crosses that hydro... oh Lord, I lost my train of thought right there. The 26 degree hydrothermic line. And once it does that, 26 degrees Celsius, done. It will begin to fall apart and do it rather quickly. And as we could see, it is forecast to just stay out here over the open waters, no threat to anybody. We lost our tropical system out here into the southern hemisphere. So two up, two down. No, it's kind of wild how they're firing tropical cyclones in winter, even though it is close to the equator to where the water temperature is never really cool. But it is kind of wild that we are firing tropical cyclones in the southern hemisphere in August and July, because we did it last month as well. So we do have here in the Western Pacific tropical storm Padul, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And this is the one that we were kind of concerned with. We're keeping a very close watch on it. The intensities have come up from the previous advisory. And one thing, I love the service that the JTWC provides, but they miss rapid intensification quite often. And I just wonder if this is actually going to stay at 75 knots. That would make it a typhoon, but anytime I see things like this, and especially a long tracker across the Western Pacific, I get a little concerned, wondering if this thing is just going to suddenly just pop, and if it does, then we could potentially have some problems going forward, especially for a lot of these islands down here. All right, let's see. Oh, he had to go through the back way. Hi, Jonathan. All right, everybody, that's about all I have for tonight. As always, you can get information on any of the islands out there if you want to know their local forecasts or anything like that, just to kind of see what they're thinking, see what kind of forecast that everybody's kind of really just, we've got our eyes on it for sure. Right now, it's too early to say exactly what this wave's going to do, but it's cause for attention, definitely. Maybe not getting any kind of just make sure you got your hurricane kits prepared. Just make sure, because like I said, this one's got that look to it, and where it's coming from, it's a lot. We'll be able to understand a lot when we finally get it out over the open waters, and we get the models to really start to respond to it being out over the open waters. And we've got all this big plume of dust that's going to be preceding it, so a lot of variables to this, folks, but it's that time of year. Definitely check back in. Now, as far as our lives go tomorrow, I don't know, because this has been dropping, and if we can get a day off before we start our marathon live, because from August 15th to Halloween, I'm going to be here live with you every night, regardless what this graphic says. Even if there's absolutely nothing out there, I will be live with you. And we won't play the development percentage game for peak season this year. I'm not going to do that. So, though, if this goes under 40 and we don't have our spot coming off of the off of the African mainland that has already achieved 40, I may try to take tomorrow night off, because that is probably going to be one of the last nights I'm going to have off until November. So if I get an opportunity for a break and just to get a night off, I'm definitely going to take it. But otherwise than that, if we're still holding at 40, or our spot comes out at 40, I'll see you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, here on Facebook and YouTube. So we're over there as well now. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful evening, and we may talk to you tomorrow night. We may not, but I can guarantee you we're gonna be back at it, and we're gonna be talking soon. So stay tuned, folks, and just make sure that you pay attention to the National Hurricane Center and everything, and don't trust those operational models right now. Don't. Ensembles only, please. So have a great night, everybody. Bye.